Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sisters review. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to. But if not, just sit back, relax while we get into this thing. Now, y'all saw the thumbnail. We are here to talk about DANNI. Yes, we are here to talk about Miss Daniela King, who I have a love, strong dislike relationship with. And for the most part, it has rested on the side of strongly dislike. Okay. It is my desire to bring more sisters content to my YouTube channel. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to talk about things and people who may be other people's favorites. That's okay. Everybody going to get their chance on this good old wheel here. But I really want to talk about DANNI in light of last week's episode, because DANNI said something that really hit me in a different way this time around. And I just wanted to know if other people felt the way that I felt, if people really just didn't pay any attention to it. It doesn't affect you anyway. I know that I'm going to say for me, watching Sisters is a hard watch. It is a hard watch. However, I have challenged myself to go deep and beyond what they show us on the screen and really dig into some stuff as it pertains to the show. Because honestly, Sisters can honestly be a great show. It's just always a miss for the most part when it comes to the writing. So in last week's episode, this is where all the sisters have been interrogated for the possible death of Gary. And so when DANNI comes back home, she is trying to have sex. She's trying to be intimate with her boyfriend, Tony. Tony really isn't here for it, because Tony is aware of everything that DANNI may have possibly went through to be in the same location that somebody was possibly murdered, two, to be interrogated, to be asked hard questions, to be placed and put in positions that is, trying to paint you as someone that you might be, but for the most part that you are not. And so he was trying to be sensitive to that. So I understand why he did not want to have sex and why that was probably the last thing on his mind. And so we get to a part in their conversation where Tony has made breakfast and DANNI comes out and she says to him that her mental health journey is hers, is an individual thing. And it's something that she wants to take on her own. And I understood that. I understood what DANNI was saying. And DANNI should be able to express herself emotionally to Tony. Now, what I had the issue with is if I'm dating someone who is on their mental health journey, that is in therapy, I will, one, be sensitive to that. However, just because you're in therapy, it does not mean that I am not going to bring certain things to your attention. I'm not going to bring certain behaviors to your attention because you are in therapy. If I'm noticing that you are doing something toxic to yourself, if you're doing something toxic to others, I'm going to say something. And so I can appreciate Tony in this moment. DANNI then tells him that she feels that he was using her trauma in order to judge her.
I felt like my trauma was being judged by you.
And I apologize for that. Look, I know you've gone through a lot. I didn't want you piling up your feelings and then using jokes to deflect. I want you to feel like you can talk to me about anything.
And I felt that was a blow beyond the belt, below the belt. I felt that was a way of DANNI to project and also to devalue Tony's observation. Tony knows DANNI well. The fact that he told her that he didn't want her to basically to deny her feelings and to use jokes as a way to bypass what was really going on. I said, you just summed up DANNI in a nutshell, because that's exactly what she did. She tried to make it appear that Tony was referencing her as being this dick fiend who was just wanting to use sex as a way to not deal with certain things and to just cope. And I'm like, that's exactly what you did, sis. That is exactly what you were attempting to do. However, Tony called you out on it. And I can appreciate the fact that Tony was honest with DANNI, regardless of her trying to deny the truth of the matter. And this has always been one of my biggest issues with DANNI. In this clip for the upcoming episode, we see that all the ladies are at Andy's house. This is after they walk in on her hugging Robin. And DANNI makes this statement.
Oh, Andy, sweetie. Listen, we know the last few days have been very trying, right? Yes. And we're not here to judge you. Oh, speak for yourself. I'm judging.
So it's okay for you to judge, but it's not okay for others to judge you, even if they're not really judging. So I thought it was so interesting because I don't have the time, the patience, nor the energy. Okay, just tell y'all to go and present all the many times that DANNI has accused Karen, Andy, and Sabrina, but especially Karen, of judging her. And we have seen some of the things that DANNI has done. So before anybody say this, yes, all the sisters at one point or another, in my personal opinion, have said and done things that probably wasn't in the best manner, that they didn't handle it in the best way. We all do that. No one is exempt from that. The difference for me between them and DANNI is that DANNI says things and she does things to be malicious, to intentionally hurt them. That is the issue I've always had. I don't get that vibe from Andy. I'm going to come back to that. I don't get that vibe from Karen, and I don't get that vibe from Sabrina. Now, when I say I don't get that vibe from Andy, I'm saying as it pertains to DANNI. Because when it pertains to Karen, Andy has definitely done some things that were intentionally to hurt her, but that's not the video for this. This is to specifically talk about Daniela King. And it don't take far for us to go back. We could just skip on and hop ourselves back to season 7 when DANNI was saying certain things to Zach as it pertains to Karen. She tried to make it appear that Karen was a hoe. She had to take it all the way back in college. These women pushing 40. If you have to go back to my college days to try to expose me as being someone who was promiscuous and being someone who was a hoe, then it doesn't hold any weight right now, because out of all the women on the show, DANNI, the title hoe is really resting securely on your head, sis. And I don't even want to call you out like that, but if we gonna call it out, we gonna call it out. But that is something that really shifted my viewpoint when it comes to the character of DANNI, because in that moment, when to see her say certain things to Zach about Karen, and then to go to Karen's shop and act like this your home girl, y'all good, and then when y'all have a sit down, you explode because you feel like all Karen does is judge you and make you feel bad. And DANNI just seems to be one of those women who have been hurt by men, who have not dealt with probably childhood trauma. She hasn't dealt with a lot of things that she has allowed in her own life, inadequacies, insecurities. And so it's easy to project that on other people instead of just taking a moment and really sitting with yourself and assessing accurately and effectively about who you are as a woman, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there. And I think that DANNI has gotten off on being like the comic relief. So a lot of things that she say gets shoots under the rug because, you know, she's the comedic relief of the show. And it's like, no, you don't get any passes anymore. And so even though we know that DANNI is in therapy, I think that DANNI uses therapy as a scapegoat. I feel that DANNI uses therapy at times as a little bone to dangle around people's neck, just to say I'm in therapy. But just because you're in therapy doesn't mean that you're actually applying the principles and the tools that your therapist is giving you to have a better life balance or have a better lived experience, a humanistic experience with yourself as well with others. I don't think we're seeing that. We're just not. And DANNI, the fact that DANNI really, to me, has one of the most powerful storylines, could be storylines on the show, and they miss it every time. They miss it every time. But I just really had to delve into what she said to Tony, because even though Tony is not my favorite character, I do respect the character in the sense of DANNI's mental well-being has always been important to him, and he's never shied away from that. And so when she said that to him about using her trauma as a way to judge her, I felt that that was a very diabolical statement. Like, to me, that wasn't anything. And he apologized. And I'm like, what the hell are you apologizing for? Because you're being honest. If you're with somebody who cannot deal with the truth, you might want to, wonder why you with the person. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I get from that whole entire situation. And even, it made me think, because even though I felt it was a diabolical statement for DANNI to make, it made me feel like she does have a sense of respect for Tony, because she did not do to him what we see her do to the sisters. Now, when they bring up DANNI and they try to, say certain things that are accurate, instead of her just being someone to receive it, DANNI begins to bring up the bones in their closets. She begins to reveal their skeletons or call them out on things. And it's just like, okay, what you're saying may be true, but how does that have any bearings on what we're saying to you right now? We are concerned about you. You are drinking excessively. You have no food in your refrigerator. You never have any money. Like, these are things that we are concerned about. So telling me that I'm pregnant by 2 different men, I know that. I bet Karen was like, girl, I know this. Okay. It doesn't. Okay. What? But that's what it made me think about. And I know people like that. You try to come to them and tell them like, hey, I'm concerned about you because you doing X, Y, and Z. And they can't be receptive because they're like, hey, sis, I know I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but you doing A, B, and C. What about that? What you gonna do about that? And you looking like, okay, A, B, and C is definitely true about me. However, right now, the things that you're doing are putting you in a position to be abused, to be taken advantage of. You are welcoming strangers into your home. We have a genuine concern for your safety and for your physical well-being. And I just feel like DANNI, I have a lot to say, and I'm trying to be somewhat compassionate because I don't like the chick. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. But I do understand that when we have things that we have not dealt with effectively, it does come out and reveal itself in different ways. That is not excusing DANNI, because I would never excuse her behavior, and I would never justify her behavior. Her behavior is trash. The way that DANNI treat people is trash. The way that DANNI has a way to exalt herself to a place and expect everybody to treat her in that level of exaltedness, I don't even think that's a word, but it's going to be a word today. She definitely doesn't treat people in the same manner. And I'm like, baby girl, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But that thing, like, really, when that happened, I wish y'all literally could have heard my response in the very moment, the sound effect that I had, but then it's DANNI. So what do we really expect? But I was just curious if anybody else considered that and just how diabolical that statement is. And to me, it was like heart-wrenching for anybody to be told that you are using, I feel like you're using my trauma as a way to judge me. And sometimes we kind of just throw the word trauma around as if we really, don't know what it means. I don't think a lot of people know what it means. And when you think about the word trauma, that is an experience or a situation that you've had that was serious in nature, that has lasting effects on you, that affects you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, all of those things. And it's like, why would somebody, not just somebody, because Tony's just not somebody, but why would Tony, of all people, take a traumatic moment that you have had in life and use that to judge you? That's why I just said it was BS. I felt it was a way for DANNI to deflect and project. I also felt it was a way for DANNI, as he stated, to joke it off, to not really deal with what's actually going on within her. And I think to make everything be at ease, she tells him that she was going to make an appointment with her therapist anyway. So it's like, I got this. And it's like, yeah, you may make an appointment with your therapist. However, it still doesn't negate the fact of what you just said, and it doesn't negate your actions. And so even though, like I said, I can't stand DANNI like that, she does have one of the most powerful storylines if it was written better. If they really wanted to show a woman battling with going to therapy, recognizing truths about herself, not knowing how to do or undo what she's always done and doing something different, to show that battle, like to really show that battle, and not her using jokes or not her putting the blame on others, that would be such a beautiful story to tell. And unfortunately, we are not getting that. But this is not supposed to be a video of bashing. This is just supposed to be a video of something that was brought to my attention, a part in the episode that, you know, kind of affected me in a way to make me go, I think that should be explored a little bit. But that's all I got for Miss Daniela King. I am open to video suggestions, so you guys can either put it in the comments. You can DM me, which some of you already have. You can DM me on Instagram at AllieNickOfficial. You can email me. All of that stuff is available in YouTube. If you just scroll over, you know what I'm saying, you can see my email information or whatever the case may be. But I just want to thank you guys for listening, and thank you for continuing to go on this journey with me. We are in this thing together because, Lord, to stick with this show, oh my gosh, it has been something. I'm still here. Y'all still here. We in this thing together. We need to probably call Creature ourselves and set up a time and a place that we can meet to deal with, you know what I'm saying? We could be in Sisters Anonymous. Well, hell, it don't need to be anonymous. We need to be in Sisters Open. Here we are. We need to be checked because we still on this damn roller coaster. But I'm glad that I'm not by myself and I got people with me. You feel me? But yeah, I want to thank you guys for the community. It definitely means a lot. I know that we are heading into the holiday season. I'm gonna talk about this in every video that I put out. We're heading into the holiday season, and a lot of people deal with a seasonal depression from either losing family members, or they've moved away and they're not close to their family members anymore, or whatever the situation may be. I just want to let you know that I am praying for you. I am thinking of you. I pray that you still feel connected in some way, in the best way that you can. And so until next time, I will holler at y'all later, and y'all be safe out there. Bye.